Hi everyone, welcome to the live stream this evening. So glad to have you. I hope you're having a great week. Sorry we're a couple of minutes late getting started this evening. I was actually out this afternoon. We finally got some beautiful weather. It was probably 70 degrees today and bright, sunny, nice breeze. And so I just couldn't escape. I had to get out onto the trail for a little bit, and then I did some kayaking on a local reservoir here. So it was a quick, just about 45 minutes out, but enjoyed it and rushed back to the studio so I could be with you this evening. But I am excited about the painting we're going to do tonight. Like last week, it is going to be a challenge, and so I'm really interested to see how it turns out. If you remember last week, we did the painting of the path with the kind of sunsets painting, and it turned out really well. And if you haven't seen that, you can jump over to Instagram to check that out. All right, let's get started this evening. So I'll jump over to this camera. So good to have you. Thank you so much for joining. Lola, as always, good to see you. And Garen, thank you for popping in on LinkedIn as always. So always good to see you. Painter swag, yes. I need some more painter swag. That's the deal. But I'm fortunate. I was hoping I'd get back in time to be able to, I'm looking down there. I don't know why the camera's right here. I was hoping to get back there and, or get back and download some of my photos up to my software so I could show you some of the photos from this afternoon. But if you're interested in my outdoor adventures, definitely check out my LinkedIn stories, because that's where I usually post. I don't post to, not LinkedIn, Instagram. I don't post the actual, usually don't post photos on my feed other than painting photos, but I do often post some photos of my kind of life and some of the things that are happening around here. So definitely take a look there if that's at all interesting to you. Okay, I think we need to do that. There we go. I think that's as direct on as I can get. We shall. The Instagram tag is at Stephen with a V E as in Edward Rice, R-I-C-E, at Stephen E. Rice. It is also, well, you're on Instagram or on LinkedIn. I was going to say it's on YouTube, but yeah, at Stephen E. Rice. And it'll pop up, I think, at the end of my live stream. So I don't know if you'll probably not stick around for the whole way, but yeah, you can check out my Instagram there. All right. Hey there, Mom. So good to have you, Mom and Dad. Yep. That's it. Stephen E. Rice. Yes. Thank you so much. Thanks for putting that in the comments. That is the deal. Okay, let me put up what we're doing tonight so you can see. This is the painting I want to work on this evening, and I will kind of tell you why this is going to be a challenge here. Not why, it'll be a challenge because getting the reflection correct, and our brain wants to think of water how we know it to be, as in layers, but when you're painting it, obviously it's a two-dimensional field, length and width. And so there is no depth. And so we have to create the illusion of depth. And it really is in painting what you actually see versus what you know to be there. So when you're starting out, your brain wants to paint the rocks on the bottom of the river or the lake, and then it wants to paint, the water and the this and that. Instead, you have to look at as if the whole thing was multiple layers, like of a Photoshop or a digital layer of images, and they're all compressed down into one layer. And you have to look at what's actually there. So the rocks on the bottom of the lake, as well as the ripples in the water, as well as the reflection of the sun, are all one layer. And so keeping that in mind, that's the challenge for doing this type of a painting. Plus we have reflections and all kinds of things with the boat. So it's going to be fun. All right, let me switch you back to this camera so that you have, whoops, and I always have to re-rotate. There we go. So you have my canvas. It is a small 8x10, so hopefully we will be able to get some significant work done on this evening. Last week we had a big tall canvas, and I had to adjust my easel, but now we have kind of a relatively short one. So I'm going to have to adjust a little bit this way of thinking of this. Okay. Yep, it should be at Stephen E. Rice most places, I think. I think even LinkedIn is LinkedIn/Stephen E. Rice. Try to keep it consistent across, because I wasn't quick enough on the draw at the beginning of the internet. Yes, I was one of those analog to digital transfers that I guess they call us as Gen X. I think we're Gen X, the middle generation. Grew up with cassette tapes and VCRs, etc., and then transferred to digital. So that's all that to say I didn't jump on Stephen Rice quick enough, or Steve Rice. So I had to get my full name with middle initial, but that's all right, as long as people can remember it enough to find me, or they can. Now Google's good enough. If you Google Steve Rice painter or artist, it'll come up probably. I should do that sometime to see. All right, I think I'm going to do some kind of drawing just to put, because I'm adjusting this a little bit and it's not a perfectly square canvas. I'm gonna try to do some just basic compositional, like where these things are. That way I can kind of know and adjust. Here I'm going to have to shrink him down a little bit, but I'll put him maybe up closer to the top of the canvas so we won't have as much water visible, but this will help us also see if it's working out. This guy I want to put actually down further because I want him to be the kind of center of the This will be a challenge not only because of the subject but also with my drawing skills, because I did not take any art classes in school, or I haven't had basic drawing, so it's going to be an interesting thing. Now it looks a little off to you all because I am a little bit off center. I mean, your camera is a little bit off centered. I'm looking at it straight on, but you all, if I took it like that, then I'd have to paint around the camera. So unfortunately, maybe someday I'll get where I can really do a more fancy setup. But for now, we are gonna just try to make it work. So we'll have to get this. I'm not sure. I'm trying to put in the suggestion of the reflection, and then I'll just have to keep working on this because I'm not sure how that's going to work. But yeah, that's the deal. Welcome, welcome to all of you who are popping in as we get started here. So glad to have you. I'm adjusting this composition a little bit and the position of these boats to make it, again, so this is kind of, the center view is kind of this boat up here. And that's where we want to go. So then we'll, like we do, we'll just start filling in blocks of different values. So yeah, we'll have to adjust this because we don't have as much in the foreground, so we'll kind of have to play with that a little bit. And then let's put this, I think I want to make this other, I'm really, I'm starting to change my mind. I think I really want this guy up here, and actually this guy, I might want to move him down here. Because I kind of want this to be the focal point, and I want it to draw you into the painting. So let's kind of try that. Let's go back and put this, oh, I got a lighter, I don't know why I have a lighter color, I guess because I was mixing with white. Let's adjust this a little bit and bring this fully back, kind of as far back as we can go almost. And let's do a little bit of kind of a white side. And this guy, let's move him down here. Because we want to kind of, we almost want him pointing the eye there, and this pointing the eye in, and the wires hanging from or the ropes hanging from this will pull us in as well. So when we're just thinking composition, that's kind of what I'm thinking, why I'm making the choices I'm making. But we'll have to see if I can actually execute on those choices now. Okay, so we'll do that. Let's just see what we can do. One thing at a time. So to do that, then we're going to have to use our imagination to fill in the water up here. And I don't think I'm going to add that little boat in the black and white boat there, just because I don't know that it adds anything to the composition. So yeah, that's my thought. Okay, now let's do this. Let's do some think I want to do a gray, so I'm going to paint the moving backward to forward, meaning not backward in the view, but from the bottom up. So I'm going to do the plane of the water, because that's, I think, going to be part of a challenge to get it right. So I'm going to do kind of a gray. You'll notice that kind of this top of the water here is kind of a brownish gray, yellow gray, and it's the reflection of the clouds above. And the reason that's in it will read that it's in the distance is because up front you can look straight through to the rocks below, but then when you get a little further back, the water refracts the light and reflects the sky as opposed to allowing you to look directly through the water. So that's just a kind of a basic physics thing that is helpful to understand when you're painting water. But yeah, that's the challenge. Okay, so I'm mixing. You can see here, it's kind of dark on your screen. I know. I used to have a light over my palette, and then it just washed out the colors, so it didn't really help anything. So I'm mixing there. I think I'm going to take a larger brush, though, and kind of mix this up. It's just blue, brown, and white to make kind of this cool gray. The brown gives it a little bit of a yellow tone, and it's just kind of a mid-tone that we can put kind of as a base layer. And again, we'll have to do probably a couple of these coats to get it to cover, but that's all right. And then what we can do is come back with our low lights and add that on top where the two blend, and then we'll do this section in kind of the darker shade, and we can come in and put the lighter across it, and that will give us the look that we're looking for, the ripples of the actual water. So we'll cover up that boat there, and we'll just use our imagination of what that water looks like there, but we have plenty of kind of source water to tell us what it is. So we can make some quick kind of assumptions. Ouch. So, all right, we'll just put that in. This needs to come all the way over here into this. We'll just keep doing that since it's working. It really helps simplify a fairly complex concept or composition when you think about, okay, in my mind's eye, let me layer all of these down. That way I can paint two-dimensionally. And once you train your eye and your brain to think that way, makes it a whole lot easier. And that's why often people will say, oh, you've improved your painting so quickly, or you're so good. And it's not, I mean, there is a certain amount of talent, I suppose, but a lot of it is just understanding the puzzle and how the game is played and the pieces, how they fit together. And once you do that, like anything, it becomes a lot less mysterious, I guess. All right, so we'll just do this kind of almost as an undertone. And the dark, of course, will go on top of it. So there we go. We'll just kind of do that and then bring some of the top. We'll let that kind of breathe a little bit. What I do want to do is take a little bit of this, and I'm just going to add more blue and more brown in just to darken it a little bit. And start to put in some value differences. And this will help us read this as variances in the water. And we'll get more detailed, but we can start to put that in and give that perception. In the water. Then we just dial it in. This will be a lot more dark. So anywho, that's what my brain's doing. And we begin to see that happen where the sky is reflected versus where our eye can see down into the water. Then all we have to do if we get this right is dial that in a little bit. Okay. That gives us the suggestion of what's going on. Again, this is all underpainting. I'm going to try to, the goal is to kind of get this all, the underpainting done within the next half hour or so, and then we can just focus on dialing in details. Before I start mixing, because I was going to start adding color, so I'm going to step back a little bit as I do and take progress photos. You all know the drill. Then we're going to start mixing. What I'm going to, I think, do is start mixing some of the colors of the boats. So I want to mix a little bit of these. There's two boats. Basically, all three boats have different variations of blue. There's kind of a cool blue on the left-hand side, or a cold blue almost, like a almost purple tone, or I guess you could say that's even a little more warmer because it has a little more red in it. But I'm going to take just a tad of magenta, see if that will work. If not, we can use red. All right, so let me see what happens if I mix these two. Okay, that helps me understand where I'm going with this. Okay, I'm mixing this kind of green blue first over here, and I just want to put suggestion there, kind of where that is, and then if I put a little of this dark blue in the same tone, then that gives us the in the shadow the same. And then if we add a little brown, let's see if that gives us the underwater look. I think that will give us the reflection look. This is all experimentation, so, but I think it's working. We won't get specific at all. Then we'll get real dark here. To do the reflection of the back and kind of the all right, that gives us an idea. So we start to see, I think I'm going to have to expand this a little more to make it look more like a shadow, because it's got to be distorted. It can't be the same size. Again, I said it before, but you get the right components and you understand how they're all put together, and all of a sudden it's not as confusing. Okay, that's helpful. Now, I want to, because that's working well for me, I want to take this blue here and want to add a little bit of this so it's almost a purple, and we'll kind of start drawing in the shadow spots. I'm not focused on drawing a boat right now. I'm just drawing a I am just drawing shapes. Let's see if this will work. It's almost too wet, but it'll give us a good idea of where we need to make adjustments. This almost needs to be a little more green. Okay. And then I want to do a kind of a purple color, so that's going to be this, and a little bit of brown. So it's going to come out here. That's a little too much. I'll dial that in. Okay. I know this color is off, but I'm trying to get actually the more the values right. And so, and then we can do a little bit more. A little more purple. Might have to come back to it though, because this will be wet on wet. So, yeah. Yeah, that's the color I think we're going for. I'm gonna sit back and breathe a little bit. Take a picture. Okay. Now I want to do more of this underpainting. I want to get all the boats in, basically make sure I kind of have the right tone. And then I will work on the background once more, because it's going to need a few more times going over it. Oh, this is, I think it's done. All right. It's a good thing I have extras. Pardon me while I open a new paint tube. Is this reference photo Facebook, or it is actually from my Facebook group? Yes, Lola. I wish I took photos this well, but generally not. And unfortunately, I don't live anywhere near the water. You're much closer, I think, to water than I am. So, I mean, we have, like I said, a reservoir near us, but not this kind of, this looks like in a bay or on the ocean or near the ocean, or at least a lake, a river lake. But yeah, anywho. Trying to figure out what this color is. I think it'll do for now though. Then we add a little brown maybe a tad of blue to the same mix to give us a shadow version. I think that reads for me. Then what I think we do is add a little more red to that dark, but we take it let me put out some more ultramarine blue. Let's try see if we can do the correct, if this is correct. Then we should be able to take make this shadow underwater even more. We want to bring it out quite a distance more than the actual boat, so that then we just take it even darker on the other side. Do you all see what I'm doing, adding darker brown and blue, going back and forth? So we have what's above water and then the desaturated color, and then I desaturate it more for underwater on the light side, and then I desaturate it even more or darken it more for the shadow on this side, and we'll see if that reads the way we want it to. But I think we're going in the right direction. We're getting there, in my opinion. We'll soften some of these edges because it's water, and take this along. Then we take this color here and give us a ridge there. We start to see what's happening. Oh, yes. I knew you were, obviously, you're near the Great Lakes, but I didn't know what side exactly you were on, if it was Superior or Erie, so that makes sense. Okay, then let's see if we can put some of this, and I'm just painting. We'll just keep refining this, but that gives us, the shapes obviously are off, but the good thing is I can always come back with the watercolor and I can adjust as we go. It's really cool. With such basically very little effort, you can create illusion. Okay, I want to go pretty dark for this underpainting, and it may be too dark, but we'll see. We want to kind of, this is distorted in the water, so it looks like it's sticking out. And then it goes back that way. And then there's kind of a, Whoops, I put way too much red probably out on the this want kind of a washed out red here. Still want the red color, but we want it dark because it's underwater. So we want to, there we go. And it should just blend into that dark. That's kind of what we want. Cool. Isn't that cool how it, then up here we'll do that same shadow to kind of, okay. We'll keep working on that. But gives us the right. And I do think what's happening visually already is I'm coming to this. This is coming out for me, so that's, or it's popping out visually, so that's really a good thing that I want to see. Then we, again, taken some, may have taken it too dark, but never know. Can always add a little red, a little yellow to it. We'll put the just that illusion again. I may extend this even further. So now I'm just kind of adjusting my composition because I think it would be, there we go, we'll see. Hey there, Heather. So glad to have you. Thanks for popping in while you're doing dishes. All right, I'm going to go back and do that original, or try to do that original blend of for the water. You can see a little bit that the undertone, under painting is popping through. So we want to definitely gray it down. All right, and we're going to come in here again. It always dries darker than we want it to, but that will help us kind of get our balance in. Again, this is reflecting the sky, so that's why we're doing this. That's the reflection of the sky, and we have that. We can't see to the bottom of the water at all back in the background. The foreground you really can, because you're looking more directly. So that's why that's happening. Hey there, Atomic. Can you really learn how to paint through, though, without any happy little trees? Bob Ross would say no, but just off camera is a happy little tree and my little Bob Ross. So we have one in the room. He's just not on the canvas this time. We did some happy little trees last week, though. So thanks for joining. I appreciate you popping in. I always love it when people from Twitch pop over. Always love having you guys and gals and such join me. So thank you, thank you, thank you. I know that this is not the general content of Twitch, but glad to have you. That actually was given to me by Aunt Lana, Heather. It was given to me by my aunt, y'all. Her mother had it, and her mother recently passed, and they were clearing out her apartment, and my aunt thought of me. So it's really kind of a very special little gift for me, because although I was not terribly close with her mother, I knew her, and so yeah, and because it came from my aunt, it's kind of special. So anyhow, let's see, we'll put some more, just again, this underpainting goes in here just to give us that good coat. And it's amazing like how quickly, with just two different tones in value, all of a sudden you start to see water, and it's like, oh, there it is. And then we'll go here and we'll mix some blue and some white, and we'll take a little bit of brown. Okay. And we'll make some real kind of gray, hopefully some gray with a blue tone, because that's what's happening up here, actually. Yeah, I might have, well, it'll dry darker, so, but this may be too blue, but gives the idea. And then we can go in and dial it in for sure. Yeah, we'll take some blue. we'll start to put some of this, just suggest it. Yeah, I learned this. There's a guy I follow on YouTube who's a muralist. He does big murals, and he's rather kind of intellectual in the way he describes what he's doing. Not like, I don't mean intellectual like Harvard intellectual, but what I explained earlier about like what you're seeing when you look, straight through the water, you're actually seeing, because the clouds are not reflecting off. And then once I knew that, I was like, oh yeah, that makes sense. Like, that really helps. So once you know a few little tips like that, then you kind of figure out how to apply them. And there we go. Now, if I was kind of an impressionist, that's about all you would get. But this is good. And we are almost at the top of the hour, which is what I wanted to do for having our underpainting pretty much completed. So we have the guts of the paintings. Now let's really focus in on how we refine this this painting. So the thing is, I want to get detail, but I don't want to be too detailed. So I like the feeling of this, because the picture is so sharp, and that's what makes the stunning picture. But I really like the feeling of this as it is composed right now, where it's not as precise. It is very clearly a painting. I like that kind of feeling in my paintings. So let's try to retain that as we really look at some of this going forward. So I think I'm just going to take them one again at a time, like I did before, and just start trying to hone in on the shape of these boats, as well as the colors. Get that done, really refined, and then and then maybe go back in and put the final details in. So let's see. Where do I want to start? Maybe with the, well, I guess maybe I can ask y'all, which of the three boats should I start with? Which of the three boats? And while you're doing that, while you're responding, because I'm on it's like I think a 30 or 60-second delay, I'm going to step back and take photos and look at this and make sure I like what's happening here. So, there we go. What do y'all think? What do y'all think? Beth says the orange one. The orange being on the right-hand side, or the kind of reddish orange over here? I assume she means this is the orange one. The orange one. Lola says the orange one too. Y'all are... It's at least consensus of those who are commenting this evening. So the orange one on the right, I'm assuming. So yes, on the right. Okay. That was, since you're on, I should be, I'm not putting all your comments up. I'm slacking off. I'm reading them, but then you all are on different platforms, so you don't see what other people are commenting. So, all right, let's dive into the orange one, Beth and Lola and Heather. I think that's a great choice. So we'll mix orange. How do we mix orange? Well, in this case, with just a little orangish red already, and then I add a little tiny bit of yellow. Yellow and red make orange, if you remember your school days. So we will do that. Give us a little peachy orange almost, because the paint is really worn off on this boat, right? So we gotta desaturate this orange. Okay, what I want to do is then get pretty precise with kind of some lines. So I'm going to start to put how I want this to appear, and I think it goes like this perspective wise, and we'll kind of draw back from there because it goes off the canvas before it actually does on the photo. So we're just going to kind of, and by just putting in some of this color, that will automatically give us a little bit of that look that the paint is peeling. Okay. You want to go, this is there. Okay. And I think I'm painting it with the wrong color, but this is we'll take a more, ooh, that's not, that might be a color of, oh, this might actually work for the, this color might actually work for the, this part up here. So let's try that. Oops. We'll create kind of a, gotta make it longer over here. So that it looks like it's skewed. I think this will actually have to go more like that. Okay. Now I'm going to take this kind of bright red and try to starting to look the shape I want. All right. We need kind of a weird light color. That is the, I just mix them all together until I kind of get what I want, but it's Now I'm just trying to get the lights and shadows. That's the funny thing. You think of like, oh, that's orange or red or whatever. But then when you paint the shadow part of it, our mind tells us, oh, that boat is orange. But then it's like, well, what color is it actually in the shadow? And how much of it is, I think this is going to be too dark. Yeah, it's going to, well, it might work for under the, might work to start to dial in some of this. Shadow, it's probably too, oh, I actually like how that's looking, even though that's not really the, that's not exactly the reference photo. That's why I'm the artist, because if I don't know what I'm doing, I can just make it up. Okay. That kind of gives us a feel. All right, now I do want to take a, like, I may have to get actual yellow, but maybe not. I'm just mixing all of my colors together and I haven't been clearing out my brush. So I may have to actually wash out my brush. Gone until now. How dare you take a phone call, mother? No. Glad to have you back. We're just starting to put in some detail, and Beth said we should, and Lola both said we should start on the orange boat. So we are on the orange boat. And we are gonna put in some weird paint marks. Because this boat is in need of some TLC. But I like it, y'all. I like it. Like shape-wise, I like it. I like where it's going. And I do like that we adjusted the composition to take out that boat here and move this one down, because again, it draws the eye into, and then once I put those lines in, it's going to be like the whole painting is going to draw the viewer into the painting. These are the types of things, even if I'm learning because I'm doing this. Once I started painting, I really realized that I enjoy art museums a lot more. Because before, even kind of, contemporary or modern art that is, I don't really understand maybe. When I was in Spain, we went to the Guggenheim, Guggenheim in Bilbao. And we had a tour guide that really kind of helped explain kind of what we were looking at. But even if I don't like a particular style or painting or wouldn't put it in my house, I can appreciate what it takes to do. And I can also start to understand the like composition like this, where it's like sometimes you see a painting and you're like, I really like it, but I don't know why I like it. Well, often if you look at like what are the composition pieces that are drawing your eye into the painting, where does it make you look? And then if you start to understand the artist's intent, especially classic art, like the old masters, you can really start to see, oh, that's exactly what Rembrandt was doing, or that's exactly what, you know, John Singer Sargent, why his I almost said photographs, his portraits kind of jump off the canvas. It's because he knew how to, and in the case of Sargent, with very relatively few brushstrokes, he knew how to guide your eye exactly where he wanted you to look. And so you start to see that, and you start to be able to really appreciate. And that's something anybody can do, whether you paint or not. You can start to appreciate art. So that's your appreciation of fine arts lesson for tonight. If you can appreciate why and how the artist was drawing your eye in and what draws you in, or opposite, why a particular piece doesn't draw you in. Why is it that I don't like this particular piece? That can be also a valuable thing when you look at art. If you can see, my eye is distracted, or my eye doesn't, whatever, then you can start to understand the art better. All right. We have kind of this bluish. Let's go in here and see if we can create, I don't know where I was. It's kind of a bluish, bluish ore. And they'll just go right off the canvas. And that's okay, because actually those ores help visually. Again, that's what, now that I'm really looking at this and I'm painting it, I'm realizing that's why I really liked this. The composition of this reference was already so strong that I was like, oh, that's why I want to paint that, because it's making my eye really, in addition to the bright colors and things, it's making my eye really want to go into the photograph. Let's see, this has a really cool band there, so we'll put that in. All right, let's see if we can now take that blue again, make it kind of that purple color, a little bit of brown. A tad bit of red, dark. I kind of like it a little darker than it is in the reference photo, but I think I'm going to make it too bright. Okay, these are obviously way too purple, but I want to kind of get them in the right place, and then I can kind of adjust this as I go. We'll take a little brown into that. I think that should help. We'll do some. I might have to let this dry a little bit. Then I have this like peppermint green paint that's peering out from underneath. Yeah, I have a feeling this is going to take longer than our session tonight, but that's okay because I'm learning. These last 2 weeks have been real learning challenges for me, which is good. And so it's forced me to really up my game, which is what I want to over time. Especially this year, I said this at the beginning of the year, and I have, but even more, I want to push myself to learn more about and develop my style of painting and what I like and what I don't, and do more yeah, so I kind of want to push that a little bit and look at different, why I like something or why I like a certain type of painting or a certain type of style, and really start to hone in on what are the types of subjects that I want to do, because I believe I can keep learning by painting all types of subjects, but if I want to really dramatically improve, I'm going to have to really start focusing on a primary subject for the most part. And so I really need to dive in and look critically at what do I enjoy painting most? What am I best painting? I noticed downstairs I have a lot of the fruit paintings we've done, and they're in my kitchen, and they all look pretty good, but I realized I enjoy it when it turns out good, and it's like, oh, that's really cool, but it doesn't inspire me a lot. So I have to look at what is it I want to do. Anyway, I'm just rambling now, so pardon the ramble, y'all. Okay. All right, y'all. I think this is really starting to come together the way I want it to. Like the shape of the boat looks good. Garrett spotted the hummingbird. Yes, that's one of my first paintings, Garrett. It took a lot of work because it was so detailed, and the difference in the feathers was so finite, and getting his breast to be, that's the comment I'm responding to, y'all, sorry. The breast of the hummingbird, to get it to glow kind of that green color, which I don't know if you can tell that from here, but maybe if I turn off my light you can see. Nope. But it's kind of a green color. Getting it all to come together was a challenge, but it was a lot of fun. Man, I'm really liking how this is coming together, you all. Y'all. Okay, so I need to mix blue and let's see. Let's put this in. I told you we'd adjust this, and it needs to come back because I want it to, it's basically going to go off the okay. You won't see the back of the boat, so I'm positioning it a little bit further back. I need to come up, I think, right about here with the dark. So we'll take some brown and blue into that other turquoise. See if that's dark enough. Let's try to play with this a little bit. This needs to come straight off of there, out. Like that. How's that? Okay, now all right. Let's fix this. And actually there is a taking brown and blue, and there's like a, I don't know what color this is, but we're just gonna mud it, make it mud. I think it's a, so funny. When I first started painting, I bought a bunch of these paints, colors, because I was like, oh, I need to have every color in the books to be able to paint, because I didn't know anything about color theory at all. But little by little, we have improved our ability to mix colors And now I need to do a... Your favorite is the piano keys. Oh, yes, the piano keys. Oh, they're kind of up there above the light in the corner. Green and purple. That was an accidental painting that turned out really well, and I really like it enough that I made a print of it, a big giant print, and put it in my living room. So I'm with you, Lola. Of course, not course, you wouldn't know this, but my undergrad degree was piano. So I think I missed my point of skill, though. I probably should have been in visual arts as opposed to musical arts, but I was in the building. I was just in the wrong end of the building. So, all right, now what we hopefully are going to do is just put a little, there's a very tiny, tiny little ridge on the bottom of this boat that suggests the bottom of the boat is it's diluted with the... Might have to let it dry and come back and put... That's what I said I was going to do the detail last, but I started doing too much detail. So, oh, that works, actually. It works. Then we see what's reflected in the water, and it looks like that's what I want it to do. So that's good. That'll work. Okay. Now, I think I'm going to leave this boat for now. I can come back and do some detail work, but I'm going to pause there because I don't want to over paint it. But I do need to... I think it's time to... Well, it's probably time to take another photo. Progress photo. And switch out palettes. So, because I need to mix the darker color there. I need some... Here, I painted too deep. I don't think it looks bad. It just looks like the sun is setting further over here and it's stretching, but I think it fits this, so it's not necessarily bad. But I definitely want to mix a dark color that will allow me to will allow me to put the ridge or the... I don't know what it is, but the edge, the reflection of that edge, the bottom side of the shadow side of that ridge of the boat, if that makes sense. So I'm about doing my my almost black color with brown and blue. So let's mix that in a little bit, see if we can do that. And then we'll move on to the next boat for as much time. I've taken about half an hour on this boat, so I apologize. Maybe 20 minutes, but still. It's hard not to keep painting when it's working and it all comes together and it starts to come together and it looks cool. It's hard not to overdo or to want to keep going and going and going. Okay, so what this really needs to do, it needs to start right there. It needs to come out, and it needs to come back. And then this will have to be water. We'll have to correct that with water, but that's okay. It's almost like a bubble. There we go. I mean, there's a little bit of improvements we could do, but I think we're, for the most part, got it. Then let's go in here and take this and see if we can, with a synthetic brush, if we can do the detail. Needs to be nope, that's not going to work. It's too harsh. Okay, so we need one of our baby brushes. Let's do this. Let's see if it's enough to do very detailed work. Okay, now because it's going to drive me crazy, I'm gonna have to do this again. That's all right though. It's crazy how little detail really is required to make this all look like it is, like it's water. Yeah, there's just nothing. And I don't even think I'm going to put the stones that we see in the reference on the bottom because it distracts from the focal point. So I think I'm going to leave it pretty close to how that is. Notice by just tightening up some of these lines, all of a sudden this looks so much sharper than this, and it's so much more done, quote unquote. All right, we have about 10-15 minutes. Let's see what we can get done with the... Should we do the left boat and then come back to the middle? Because the middle's kind of the focal point. What do you all think? Or should we do the middle one and then to the left? To the left, to the left, to the left, left, left. What do you think? I'm going to step back and take a look to see what I think. It looks really cool on your screen. That's often how I will use as my stepping back. I look onto your screen because it gives me that kind of distant perspective, but yes. Okay. Oops. I lost the camera. There it is. Hopefully I didn't lose all of y'all. Okay. Well, I am going to jump then to the middle boat, y'all. Y'all. Now I sound so very southern, don't I? It is a habit. I was there for quite a few years, so it kind of comes out periodically. Okay, let me start to see if I can just refine some of these lines. Just refine some of the shape. Okay. We'll take a little more of that green tone, mix it with the blue. So trying to adjust my adjusting my perspective as I go. I'm realizing there's not a lot of space between the, if I get all these ratios correct, then the, so this is pretty much at the bottom of the, that second bench is at the bottom of the, what's visible below the first bench. And then this. All that to say, we need to smush this baby. All right. There. So now I'm going to take a little, hopefully a little dark color. Nope, it's not very dark, is it? I need to, that's what happens when you mix on top of, on top of, on top of. It's all coordinated, but then you don't get precise. But right now I want precise. So I'm going to take a little bit of brown, a little bit of dark blue, a little bit of this light. Okay, let's see if we can clean this up. Yeah, that's good. There we go. Then we'll just come over here and add very little, some okay. Okay, don't want to overpaint. So let's keep working on this for another 2 minutes. See if we can. I'm pleased with how the values are going as far as lights and darks. So that makes me happy. I just want to kind of shore up this shape of the reflection here. So let's take some, again, some white. Want it pretty light, a little, where is it, a little yellow ochre, very little yellow, like 1 dot. And then we will color this in. Needs to come straight down there. Okay, it's a little bit there. Now, we need to just take a little brown, maybe a touch of blue. Yeah. Give us our opposite color in the shadow. Again, we want to come down from here. Meet right there. This is, yeah, kind of that rust red. So let's take a little bit of red. And a little bit of yellow. And let's see, maybe a tad white, but not much. Let's see how this goes. Gotta wrap this up because we are out of time, y'all. Okay, that's as far as we'll get tonight. I'm gonna have to go put dark. Once I put dark right up against that, it's really gonna pop out, so that's good. But I'm happy with where we are in the detail right now. So we'll let's do a little bit of this since we have that color there. We'll do kind of that. All right, that's where we're going. So, didn't get as far as I would have liked, but it's all going in the right direction, so that makes me happy. Let me get this all rearranged so that I can say a proper good evening to you. I hope you enjoyed this evening. I hope you enjoyed following along as I am figuring out what I'm doing a little bit at a time. I am enjoying having you with me. So grateful you all join me every week. Makes my life just peachy keen. Oh, that is too reflective. Okay. Let me switch my camera around. I will set you all back over here. Put my glasses back on so I can see you. And I will flip this camera back and say thank you very much for joining me. All right. We'll take out our reference and we'll go back here. All right, I want to say thank you so much for joining me on this, the 77th episode of the Paint Party Livestream. It's been so much fun having you this evening. You can, as I said at the beginning, follow me on Instagram at Stephen E. Rice and see the progress photos that I take throughout the evening. Once I complete the painting, I usually post those. If you're also interested in some details from my life, you can follow my stories on Instagram and see, for example, where I'm kayaking or hiking in any particular day. That said, I want to say thank you again for joining me, and I will see you next week, Monday at 6 p.m. Mountain, 8 p.m. Eastern. Until then, have a great week, and I'll see you next week.